Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Aqueduct. We have a mix of sun and clouds right now. The temperature will be close to 60 degrees today. The main track is fast. The turf courses are firm. Portable rail is up at 24 feet on the outer turf, and it's up at 9 feet on the inner turf. We have a pick six carryover today, and we'll get to the start of the pick six in just a few moments. In the first race today, number 1 Analogy is 1 pound over. Scratch 3 Forwardly, 4 Montauk Point, and 8 Exclusive Order. First race, scratch numbers 3, 4, and 8. Second race, scratch the 2 Prairie Fire and the 3 Big Q. Second race, scratch 2 and 3. In the third, scratch the 5 Pay Grade. Scratch number 5, Pay Grade. Fourth race, scratch number 5, Beautiful Karen. Scratch the 5, Beautiful Karen out of the fourth. Race 5 will start that pick six, and the carryover is $26,614. In race 5, scratch 4 Cotton, 11 Hot Rod Rumble, 12 Taco Bean, and 13 My Last Mission. In the fifth, scratch numbers 4, 11, 12, and 13. Moving to the sixth race. And in the sixth, we have a rider change on the 5, Ocean Deep, to Jackie Davis. Jackie Davis rides the 5, and the weight is now 127. The scratches in the sixth, scratch 6, Practice Squad, and scratch 12, Bob in Our Midst, through the 15, Might As Well Run. So once again in the sixth, scratch numbers 6, 12, 13, 14, and 15. In today's seventh race, number 3 is 1 pound over. Jockey change to be announced on the 4, Vivazano. Jockey change to be announced. And number 9 is 1 pound over. The eighth race, the Times Square division of the New York Stallion Stakes. Number 5 is 1 pound over. The ninth race, the Woodhaven Stakes. Scratch number 5, Dr. Jeff. Scratch the 5, Dr. Jeff. And in today's 10th and final race, note that numbers 3 and 5 are 1 pound over. And scratch the also eligibles, 11 Perfect Banker through the 16, Fast and Furious. Scratch 11 through 16 out of the 10th. Main track fast, turf courses firm. Today's pick six carryover is more than $26,000. We'll come back at 12:50 to recap the changes. First race post is at 1:20. Up next, Talking Horses with Sterling and Stabile.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Talking Horses. Andy Serling, Anthony Stabile. You ready for a big Saturday?
I am.
10-race card.
Looking forward to everything.
A lot to talk about today. Did have some scratches that did dramatically change some of the races, but we'll get into that after you head over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, no better time in the present. Not only will we match the $200 of your initial deposit if you use the promo code Derby25, we'll also add a free $25 bet heading towards the Kentucky Derby, which is now just 14 days away.
Amazing, 2 weeks.
I'm going to tell you right now who's going to be the most annoying horse when you look at workout stuff.
Who?
Cyberknife. He's a very good workhorse.
Oh, okay.
And so you're going to hear 2 weeks of how incredible he looks.
We're going to have a Naira Bets party up at Mohegan Sun.
There you go. All right. Well, we'll also have a $25 bonus. You bet 75 at Aqueduct, Keeneland, and Oaklawn. You want to opt in for that. $25 bonus, win or lose. We also, do we show the pick six carryover? I missed it?
No, we didn't.
Francisco, you know, Francisco's TDing. He hasn't
He's back
done it in a while.
today.
And I got to tell
Francisco's
you,
back.
he's not doing a good job. You know, I'm a little disappointed.
Kyle's here with us.
We got
It's like
Kyle.
like
we got the talent in the room.
together.
The talent's in the room here. But
like the band's back
Francisco,
together today.
I'm telling you, you got me all confused here. That is the Belmont Stakes tickets one. But Francisco, we have a plethora of other slates to show. Would that be correct? There we go. Look at that. 26-6. Should be a double carryover. It's unbelievable. That
Oh,
one person
that's
did it.
right. That's right.
Yeah, yesterday there were some interesting results yesterday. Where are we, Francisco? You just lay it on me. There you go. We didn't show the cross-country Big Five, though.
No, we didn't.
This is like Jackson Pollock painting.
This
these
is like
slates.
picking him out of a bingo drum
just
at
a
this point.
Big, throwing him against the wall. That's from 1 to 7:30 today. Of course, a lot of the team is down at Oaklawn Park as well.
B9.
Do we have the cross-country Big Five? Francisco, we can show it later. Thank you, Francisco. I appreciate that. Okay, you can go back to sleep, Francisco. We'll talk to you in about 40 minutes.
Oaklawn Race 5, Oaklawn Race 8, our 8th and 9th, and then Oaklawn Race 11. It's an all-stakes
Yes,
Big
race
Five.
5 and 11 are there. Oaklawn handicaps the 11th, and for some unknown reason, they're running the Apple Blossom, one of their 2 grade 1s in the early double, basically. Anyhow, speaking of the early double, race number 1 was just savaged by scratches, mostly because Forwardly came out, who was going to be a big player. Your top pick, you scratched the horse that I like. Why do you like Analogy?
I scratched into Analogy. I'm assuming from the rail, coming out of the 7.5 furlong race, which keep in mind, folks, is 2 turns. I would imagine this horse, especially against this bunch, is going to be forward from his inside draw. And I would hope to see Kendrick Carmouche get aggressive and put Analogy on the front end in a race where, quite frankly, the other 4 horses just do not have any positional speed early, 0 speed.
Okay, I assume the 2 will be in front, but we'll see. As far as Analogy, in my opinion, the reason to like him in here is that he broke 3/4 of a length slow in his debut, and he was 5 wide in the first turn and ended up 5 or 4 wide around the turn. He made a big wide move in the backstretch. He was a bit wide in the second turn, and considering how the race played out, where the speed really held up, and given he didn't break, and then he rushed up wide, he was out in the middle of the track and all over the place, I actually think he ran a very respectable race given the trip he had. So I'm not really concerned about the pace one way or another. It's a small field. I doubt there's a lot of separation one way or another, and I just didn't see much going on. I mean, I Am the Law, I suppose, can win, but he's had his share of chances, though if nobody shows up, he'll win the race. And I didn't see the appeal of Grand Key, to be honest with you, and I didn't see the appeal of Good Medicine, who I didn't see do much running in his race, and he didn't get bet at all. And, you know, maybe Balthus will show up one day, but so far he has not shown any ability
fresh gelding.
whatsoever.
Yeah, he gets a little kitchen sink thrown at him and a little, just a smidge of a cutback in distance from the 1.25 mile and 3/16 races.
Well, maybe they'll go a mile 16th if he loses here, and a mile after that, and then there's 7 furlongs at Belmont. They can keep trying him less and less and less. But so far, I mean, he hasn't run a step in either one of his races. No. Not a step.
I know.
And that's pretty unusual, and you're starting to wonder, they gelded him. Maybe it's just sort of a last-ditch effort to try to get him to run, and perhaps he will, but his first 2 races were atrocious. Race number 2. I was going to pick Suspended Campaign in here, but with the scratches and the situation as we look at Awesome Indra and the Videogenic, and, you know, yesterday we were dealing with a track that, I mean, if you don't understand biases, when 9-1 and 29-1, and we're looking at Awesome Indra running in the Videogenic. Someone give Francisco a little nudge.
London Gold, and then the maiden who escaped me in the 4th race. I mean, if that didn't solidify that there's
and the way no one can pass outside, and, you know, I mean, it's you know,
Lady by Choice,
Pipeline
right? Lady
ran-
by Choice was the same thing. Like, how doesn't anybody go Lady by
Well,
Choice?
you made an interesting point in the show about that. You suggested she'd be aggressive, and I give Oscar Barrera and Louis Rodriguez credit. They took advantage of that situation, and once she was able to be in front, she hurt the 7's chances because she couldn't clear, and got out of the way. Now, listen, I mean, and then there's a race, a crazy race. I mean, how much the best was Linda Rice's Barista Vixen? My God, if that race run a fair track, she might have won by 4 lengths.
Kind of like Barista Vixen what race was Galliano in? Galliano was in Richmond Hill turning for home and got beat a length in 3/4.
Yeah, but so I mean, it's just an extreme bias, and it's been on the track for 5 days. So unless they've decided to actually get the track into normalcy, and I don't understand because it's not a weather. In the winter, we heard it was a weather situation. We haven't had any weather. It's been really nice out, and this is an extraordinary bias that's taking place. I don't see any reason to want to go on today. Now, listen, I do think the best horse in this race is Suspended Campaign.
Right.
But we'll take a look at her winning 2 races back. I just don't know how she's going to overcome, because the horse she has to beat is going to have such an advantage in here, and she's going to be at a disadvantage. So it just feels like she's got to be 5 lengths the best to win
And I
this
know
race.
you're not concerned about this. You don't concern yourself that much with distance. I do. I think the cut back to 6 furlongs and in a race where now the intangibles are completely against her. I mean, all but.
Well, I don't think the distance is why she's going to lose. We disagree. When she ran her 6 furlong race earlier in her career, she was running just as slowly at distance races as she was running shorter. So she's really just improved as a racehorse.
Oh, I don't doubt that she's improved in a racehorse.
There's no evidence, in my opinion, that she can't go shorter. But in this race, what's she going to do? I mean, she's just going to be compromised. She's going to be behind, and it's a small field, and I just feels like Awesome Indra has everything her own way.
And like you said, with Big Q coming out, I mean, Awesome Indra is just left to her own devices on the front end now.
Well, I mean, Buston Bay could try to be aggressive. I don't know if she can run anymore, but it is a Wayne Potts horse, and those horses seem to run randomly from one start to the next, well, then poorly, who knows. I'm a little shocked you have the 6/4 here. I think it's tough to keep her out of the number. Okay. She's so much better than the others in this race. Race number 3. So I basically thought this was a somewhat of a 2-horse race between Kara's Dreamer and Barkin, and I wanted to show the race they come out of, the Ticonderoga. I mean, Barkin obviously had very good form leading this race, and she was odds on. She was bad in here. Now, I don't disagree that Kara's Dreamer had a better trip than her, splitting horses, but I think Kara's Dreamer's position where she's going to be much closer today, and Barkin's going to be much farther behind. I believe one of these 2 horses is very likely to win this race. And I feel like Barkin's going to be overbet because of that big 89 figure when she ran so well behind La Dragon T at Woodbine. But I was very disappointed in this effort, and I think Kara's Dreamer just ran better. And at the end of the day, Kara's Dreamer just got consistently better last year. I don't know if she'll do it off the layoff, but I thought she was the better one to bet at a bigger price.
I think that was my biggest concern was the layoff. And I know all of these horses are coming off layoffs.
They're all off layoffs, so what's the difference?
Well, I feel like
they should have picked a Toma's Dream or Choose Happiness, a little 4-7. Oh, they're the 2 you left out. So you're concerned about the layoff, but you only have the 4.
Concerned from the layoff. I mean, I'm not going to be as concerned from the Christophe Clement barn as I'm going to be from Mitch Freeman.
He has terrible layoff numbers, Christophe. Horrendous layoff numbers. And it's not unintentional. Christophe's a guy who clearly his horses often need a race, because at the end of the day, you're better off in July if you didn't get them all cranked up to win in April than you are if you do.
Yeah, this filly won off a May to October layoff already, so I think there's less of a concern there. For me,
Isn't
anyway.
the distance a bit of a concern here?
I thought she ran well enough in her debut. I mean, she got beat ahead in her debut. Andy.
She beat Epona's Dream by 3/4 of a length. Where do you have her? Well, I mean, that's relevant, isn't it?
It was one race a year ago.
But she significantly improved going shorter.
Did she significantly improve going shorter, or did she significantly improve as the year moved on?
Well, there's also an interesting point, I think, to make about her as we show her last race. There's a horse running in the next race named Snicket. You might want to notice that Snicket was trained by Christophe Clement when this race was run, and she was gunned up to the front to set a fast pace, to set it up for this race. And in reality, while she did win, and fairly fastly, had Master the Tunes and Uncle Jem do when they ran here the other day. And they too took advantage of the fact that this race had a wicked pace. I mean, 21-4 in December's moving.
Flying.
And I listen, I'm not going to be shocked if she wins this race. I'll be surprised. I mean, don't you think Mischievous Dream is the more reliable of the Christophs going long?
I mean, I didn't have a morning line. I thought, wow.
You didn't think the 1 would be short off an 82 buyer and a blowout win, drawing the rail?
I thought Mischievous Dream and her would be much closer in price. That's what I thought.
Okay, maybe they will. I mean,
one has route form and one doesn't really. I was surprised.
Right, but you probably doing what a lot of people are going to do, right? You're going to go to the one that has the better figs and won her last race.
I'm going to go to the one that and the one that negates. You know, you're talking about the Clement numbers off the layoff. This horse has already won off of a layoff, so it doesn't concern me as much as it ordinarily would.
Okay, we'll agree to disagree. I prefer the 2 out of the other race. You like the 1. She's the 1. Race number 4. Speaking of Snicket, we'll look at Snicket's race. Is Snicket going to be one of those horses that won her last race for her 2nd win in 20 starts with 9 seconds, and she's just going to keep on winning? Because I'll tell you something, unless Towering Orbit gets a super aggressive ride, Snicket might clear her.
I would imagine that Charlie Baker and Jorge Vargas Jr. are going to figure out that Towering Orbit needs to get a super aggressive ride and protect the inside here. And that's why I went to her. I am going to ride the track a little bit, especially in a race where I don't really, it's hard to really trust any of these horses. I mean, if we're being honest, they've had a lot of chances. And I know the horse you picked is, I mean, we'll talk about her.
Where would you have Towering Orbit if you didn't feel she was going to take advantage of a bias? I'm just curious.
Where would I have Towering Orbit without the bias? Probably third.
Okay, because you didn't like her against a terrible field.
No, I didn't like her at all.
Where she was lone speed.
I liked So Lib.
I think that Snickett's probably going to give her some problems. Snickett's a turf horse who, ran a couple of steps. Okay, we'll disagree, but I do hear you with Towering Orbit. I can't disagree with that. If they're aggressive, and
they should be. I mean,
I agree. I agree with you. I'm not.
And it's not like Vargas is one of these guys that's not aggressive.
No,
and
no.
Charlie knows what he's looking at too. I would imagine she's going to be on a dead send.
I don't think she's super fast. But she and Stickett are probably the same.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. The only reason I think she has a prayer in this race, personally, is that she could ride a bias. I think otherwise she has zero
We've
chance.
seen worse horses win the last few days than she did riding
can't
that,
argue
riding
with that.
the rail.
I can't argue with that. And, I think chasing Kara is not impossible in this race. She also draws the rail.
I mean, is anybody really impossible in here? On a fair track, is anybody really impossible in here? Probably not.
I think our sweet girl is impossible.
Okay, she's right.
But like here, I think Mayor is best bet of the day or something. I likes her, and I
would
respect
agree,
Mike's
I would
opinion.
ordinarily agree with you.
Here.
Right, but she wouldn't be like, you wouldn't be. It wouldn't be.
I'd be surprised if she won.
Wouldn't be London Gold.
No. Why? I picked London Gold second.
Yesterday?
Yeah. So yeah, I'd be.
No, I'm talking fair track. I'm not talking about.
I still would be surprised if she won a fair track. I don't know if she beats Impossible Donna or. I'm going to take Let Me Take This
I would have
Call.
picked Impossible. For the record, I would have picked Impossible Donna.
Yeah, I like Let Me Take This Call in here. I know I bet her last time, and she did have her own way, but this is a significantly easier spot than she was in last time as she drops down. And
You say that about last half dozen races, right?
yeah, listen, there's a reasonable chance that she's just not particularly effective anymore, and she's probably not likely to get a kind of trip if we have a big bias. But she's going to be a big price in here, and I don't think her last race makes her impossible in a couple of her recent races against this field. Maybe, and it's hard to know what's going to happen, but it's hard to believe Stickett's not going to go. But you may be right with Towering Orbit. Maybe she'll take advantage of
It doesn't
rail.
make her impossible. Does it make her impassable?
Race number 5. Race number 5 is the first of many annoying scratches for me today because I really liked Cotton and thought that he was one of the more interesting horses on the entire card. So you like Deep Cover.
Yeah. I like this horse's debut. Fig came back fast.
It's good.
Right? It was it was a good debut. You do what you're supposed to do, and you try him on the dirt in the winter because you don't really, having run just once at the end of his 3-year-old year. He didn't run 2 steps on the dirt, and Tom put him away. Brings him back. The fact that he won first time out gives you a little more confidence off the layoff that he'll perform well. This is another one. I mean, he's supposed to be on the front end in here.
Well, but there are other speeds.
There's other
isn't
speeds, but-
Sandrone going to be forward?
Yeah,
Don't you think
he's supposed to be
Surprise
forward,
Boss with
but-
Kendrick is supposed to be aggressive?
Yeah.
That horse showed significant speed.
Even the
when ran
horse on the
turf
out,
and won on the front end.
even Bali Shade. We'll see how Bali Shade handles the turf, but Bali Shade has some speed.
Yeah, I don't know if he's quite as fast,
Yeah.
but no, you're not wrong. I don't disagree. Listen, I got him second. I'm not against Deep Cover by any stretch. I agree. I thought he ran very well when he broke his maiden. We're the morons who bet Feathers Road and didn't use this horse. Idiots.
That is correct.
Yeah, that was like one of the. That was a
head scratcher.
That was just more. We're morons
Yeah, we're
for not
morons.
doing it. I'm a little puzzled as to how you don't have this horse, Uncle George, in the play. And we'll take a look at the finish of his last race. And keep in mind, in this race, he also broke about a length and a half slow. And this was a race. And I know this is going to be a shock to people, with 4 speeds on paper, and the slowest of the 4 speeds walked in the front end. So Uncle George got left in a paceless race, and he still managed to finish a fast closing second. He got a very good ride by Javier after the break. I mean, it wasn't Javier's fault. There's nothing you could do at that point. Needed everything you could. Why don't you have this horse in your top 4?
I didn't know what to do with this horse, honestly, and I thought he'd be the favorite. Is he the favorite?
No.
Yeah, he's the favorite. I didn't.
I
I've tried
bet
him
you
a few
Deep Cover's
times.
favored, but okay. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, you're probably right. I didn't prefer him.
Well, but you've got Volkert over him? Bally shade over him? You just despise him. You don't think he has a chance.
I don't like him today. No.
Why?
I don't like him.
What's wrong with this?
He's never. I mean, I guess that race 2 back was okay, but hey,
He actually rates to get a little pace in here. I thought they'd be moving a little bit in here. I don't think it's going to be a blistering pace, but I don't think it's going to be slow. Okay, we'll have to agree or disagree. I think he's a very hard horse to leave out of your top 4. And playing against him is one thing. Volkert?
yeah, the Volker's. Excuse me. I thought Volker's last race was pretty good. I thought the race against Phantom Smoke when he was closer.
He had a worse trip than Uncle George that day, and he finished behind him.
Say that again.
He had a worse trip in that race than an easier trip than Uncle George in that race, and finished behind him.
In the Phantom Smoke race.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he wanted to be. I don't think he wants to be bothered on the front end early on. I think he wants to be left
When
alone.
was he bothered?
Well, he was close. I think he just wants
had
to.
a crawling pace.
I think he just wants to settle and make one run.
But it was a slow pace, and he was right behind him.
That's okay. I understand
Okay,
that.
we'll
I
just agree to disagree
Yeah.
here. You know, Marble Moons I have to. I found this amusing.
No. Wait. Was it the Serpy filly?
No. He's a shaking it up. Probably shaking it up. It's not going to be a great turf influence,
Wow.
but we'll tell you people after the break. But I'll give people a hint. He's in the Kentucky Derby. I'll give you another hint. If you bet him, you're going to lose. I actually want to throw in G Munning a little bit. I don't know. And by the way, Sandrone can win this race.
Sandrone can win this race. Yeah. Sandrone can absolutely win this race.
I think he sort of benefited from the trip last time out, but he could easily improve and get his figures high enough to win here. He's a player as well in here. Marble Moon's a half to Tis the Bomb.
Oh.
And with that, we'll take a break and we'll let Francisco get it together, and we'll be back in a couple of seconds.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
Welcome back to Talking Horses, the Big A Anthony Stabile, Andy Sterling. Race number 6, your top pick scratched.
He did,
should
my
thank
top
Joe
pick
Sharp.
scratched in a race where my head was on a swivel the entire time.
Clearly, because
I had
not only
a-
did you pick him, but you got Sonic Speed second. So at least you got rid of one horse that couldn't win, and now you got Sonic Speed. Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Good luck with that.
I was all over the place here. I had a lot of trouble with this race. As you
I can tell.
A lot of trouble. Sonic Speed's 4-1 on money. I probably wouldn't have picked Sonic Speed had I known
Price
he
you think
was
he's going to be? He's coming off a
4-1
win
on
with 72
1-1.
buyer in this field. He's got a turf win. Who else has turf wins recently?
This is.
Oh, him.
This is a race where I was looking to survive it in the late pick 5, starting the late
You
pick
could
5.
be in trouble.
Well,
Okay, I have a question. All right, first of all, listen, I agree. This is not a field with much form. My opinion here was twofold. I hated Practice Squad, and I don't like Sonic Speed. One of them scratched, which annoys me. Takes value out of the race. I think Practice Squad comes out of a horrendous race last time out. And Joe Sharp's numbers off the claim and the turf are not particularly good. They're not good at Naira, and they're not particularly good anywhere. Off the claim and turf route is 6 for 54 with a $1.07 ROI. So, I mean, clearly, not clearly, to me, the best turf horse in here is Actuary, and it's painful to say because he's awful. Hey, he actually showed a little speed last time. I mean, he actually didn't run that
that was a weird
badly
race.
for
That
him
was a
last
weird.
time.
That was a weird race for him last time.
Listen.
Were you on that train with me when we liked him in the last race?
No, I liked the winner last time.
No, not last time. You weren't here. You were on vacation.
I was here last time.
No. In December.
No, I didn't like him anyway.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like him. I loved him in Saratoga the day that Sandy claimed him. And I thought it was a very good claim by him. We were both wrong. It was a terrible claim, and it was a terrible pick by me. It's sort of scary. Maybe we should check with each other when we agree on something and to stay as far away from it as we can. But I think you've got two interesting horses in this race trying the turf for the first time, and one of them is Malibu Star. Now, I get it. Malibu Star, maybe Michelle is just throwing this in the turf because he just can't run anymore.
Yeah.
I totally understand that. Having said that, it's a good field to be in if you can't run anymore. because this is the field of
If
horses.
you're going
that
to
can't
try
run.
it, so if you're going to try something different, yes, this would be the field you want
And
to try it in.
The dam was like 0 for 1 in Japan on the turf.
One sibling, one on the grass.
One of three. By the way, the reason you were wrong about that horse being, you said 2 for 8, and I said 3 for 11, is whatever you look at doesn't include European turf races. That horse was 3 for 11, for what it's worth.
Okay.
But the reality of this horse is when you start digging into the pedigree is you realize that the third dam was Personal Ensign. So once you get into that area, you start to realize that there's turf because there's significant turf pedigree in every
All
Phipps
those Phipps
broodmare. They
horses.
all have
Distance and-
there's
distance and turf.
Buckpasser and Bold Ruler and
Distance
all
and
that.
turf. Yep.
So this horse actually does have a turf pedigree in an odd way. Now, I'm not saying it's a screaming one, but it's not an obvious one. And I don't love this horse by any stretch.
Listen, there's a chance he just can't run anymore. Like you said, this is just an act of desperation.
But if he can run at all anymore, he'll beat this field.
Yeah.
And he handles the turf. And I have to bet Eddie the Great. You know, Freudian,
Do you think Eddie claimed this horse because of the name?
no, I think he claimed this horse to get this horse in the turf. But probably wanted to claim a New York bred that, you know, he thought was, listen, he claimed the horse had a race that was going to win against Maiden.
Yeah.
But Freudian was very good on the turf. She was 6 for 17 at the board 11 times, 90 buyer. This is her first foal. It's a Munnings. Larry Best paid $1.6 million for a Munnings at the sale, the 2-year-old sale yesterday. Wow. Don't see a lot of Book 4 horses going for $1.6 million. I wonder if that's a record for Book 4 at Ocala. $1.6
Might be a
million.
record
Horse
for
worth
book
9
4
4/5.
almost anyway.
Yeah, no, you make a great point. I don't know how many Book 4s there are besides Keeneland to go in
Right.
those. Yeah, amazing, right? Amazing. They paid 2.3 that one in the first. I'm going to take Eddie the Great on the pedigree. I'm going to use 1, 2, 4.
You realize you picked this rider twice today?
He's my man, Ruben. We're like this. This horse has a pedigree, and this is a race that is screaming out for stranger. This race is screaming out, find me a stranger. And listen, I suppose Sonic Speed can win, and I suppose Noble Conquest could win, but you know what? I'm going to lose if those horses win.
Okay.
Because they're bad, relatively speaking. If any of the horses I like here can run on the turf, the 2 or 4, they're going to beat those horses. Now, maybe they both can't, but I'm willing to let those horses beat me here because I don't really think they can do much running.
Okay.
Race number 7. Race number 7. This is an interesting one because if we have yesterday's track, your horse Liberty Flame is way the horse to beat. I don't like this horse, but on yesterday's track, this horse is the horse to beat.
I still think this horse is one of the players, no? Regardless of the track.
I have her third, yeah.
Yeah,
I thought she was the third likeliest winner. But no, I'm not, and I may be underrating her. I'm not. I mean, I think the 3, 5, 6, and 7 are the players in this race.
Yeah.
I can't
So
make a
do
case
I.
for anybody else. I don't think that's any brilliant ground we're covering. You know, the half Cabernet Trails after
Copper Chalice.
who won it 74 to 1 first time out.
Yep.
Beat me a nose. It's actually a good pedigree.
Romero rode him, right? I think.
It's actually an interesting pedigree. It's that Windcrafty Lady family. Anyway, I assume you just hope this horse wires the field.
Yeah, that's all. I feel like it's kind of going to line up 3-5. Vivizano, just all the speed is just gone.
She doesn't
There's a
seem
pair
to-
of blinkers though. Maybe that'll wake
seem
her
to
up.
have any speed at all
No idea.
anymore. I
Still
agree.
waiting on a rider. No Omar Hernandez. Waiting on a rider for her. I took the lineup number in here. I think it's going to line up 3-5. And
Well, I'm going to hope that by some miracle, we've decided to get the track a little fairer today, because Bavarian Cream, I do think was compromised by the racetrack. I do believe this track got very insidey at this point, and I think that really hurt this horse's chances.
okay.
This horse, I thought ran very well first time out, after having some trouble at the start and making a bit of a wide move, et cetera, behind Norman Queen. But last time out, she looked like a cinch, and she just totally hung on the outside. And somehow, Hey Mama just kept on running down the inside. And this race was run in such a rail fashion
Yes.
that I'm going to give her another chance. I also think Capital Gal is going to run well in here. I think that she was a little bit hesitant going through in this race. The Weaver Barn has picked things up since then. I thought this horse was very dangerous, but both the 6 and 7 are going to need a more fair track in all likelihood to win this race.
I used the 4. We put up a late pick 5 ticket. There's a cross country pick 5 ticket and a late pick 5 ticket up at Naira Bets. I really copped out here. I just used the 4 of them because, again, so late in the day, we try to get the ticket up earlier. So late in the day, you want to protect yourself if the track's playing the same way and if the track's playing differently. And then, it would be very hard to imagine somebody else winning this race.
At least to me it would. Race number 8 is the New York Stallion Series. And we'll go back to Barisi winning the Rego Park with Unique Unions running 4th. So I'm guessing you feel like Unique Unions is going to...
So I'm going to say this. I just feel like he's going to try and lead him on a merry chase. I don't remember, and this is not full information, I feel bad, but I got a story on this horse. Don't remember what the story was, but I got a story on this horse last time, after the race.
He's a 4th-time story, sorry.
No, I got a story of something went amiss last time, and I was told that you could bet your money today. So combine that with the racetrack, I'm going to take a little chance against Barisi. And here's the thing.
He ran one of the best races he's ever run.
I'm giving to you the Barisi. I just gave you the here's the thing. Here's the thing. Well, he kind of just stopped, right?
No. He kind of lost horses that were faster than him. You know, a lot...
Thought he stopped late in the game.
He didn't. He ran 1 Beyer point lower than he did when he won his maiden race.
That doesn't mean the other horses didn't run better, Andy. I mean, it looked like he just got...
But he didn't.
Regardless of... I got a story.
But he didn't.
My biggest problem
Misinformation.
my problem with Barisi is... No, it doesn't have to be misinformation.
He runs... he lost to better horses. That
I
doesn't mean he can't wire the field.
Right, I don't doubt that Barisi's better.
Stop.
My problem with Barisi, my biggest problem with Barisi, racetrack aside, I probably would have taken a shot with Unique Unions over him,
Okay.
all things considered.
Because?
He ran in the Wood Memorial. It wasn't like he got beat 20 lengths, and he ran. And now
you
he's got to
like
come
him
back.
less because he ran well?
Well, he's got to
ran
come back in
poorly?
2 weeks now. And this is a horse who had a May to January layoff, had 5 weeks between those races, had 7 weeks between the next 2 races, and now he's got to come back in 2 weeks.
But isn't that easier that he had more time?
You
think it would be better
This
if he had no time
this is a
between?
horse who the barn obviously spaced his races, and now listen, it's hard to pass up.
They didn't space his races.
It's hard to pass up these races.
They pointed to the wood after he won 2 back.
And
Yes, it's hard to pass.
It's hard
his
to
race
pass up these races.
I agree.
It's very difficult with you know what I mean. You're not going to get a chance to run for 110,000 to the winner in a field of 7 with 3 maidens in the race. That doesn't happen every other week. So you have to come back in 2 weeks.
You don't have to, but there's incentive to come back.
Yeah.
I agree. I understand. I think the only chance the Unique Unions has to beat him is a major bias that hurts Barisi and helps Unique Unions. The problem with that is that Unique Unions probably is the speed. Tommy Gunn's pretty quick.
Tommy Gunn's quick.
Now, Manny Franco has been really alert to track. I think Eric has been too, but Manny may be a little more aggressive than him. But I wouldn't be so confident that Tommy Gunn can't get in front of Unique Unions. I hear you. And listen, I got Unique Unions second, and I agree with you. I'm going to use him to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And I understand all the things you're saying. The problem I have is that Barisi is in a completely different world.
I don't
than
disagree
Unique
with any
Unions
of
is.
that.
He's just 1,000 times better.
But now they're asking, they are asking him to, if the track holds, they're asking him to beat the bias, and they're asking him to come back in 2 weeks off a tough effort.
Hang on. But they're not necessarily, because he's going to tuck in the rail behind. And if he could just save ground behind them,
and tip around,
he may just wear him
makes you
down.
better.
It's not like he's drawing post 7 and you feel like he's going to get hung up 3 wide the whole way.
Could you imagine, by the way, after the break yesterday, that Jerry the Nipper wasn't in front of Pipeline?
Well, we talked about this on the show, and it's the same rider who didn't aggressively go to clear with Jackson Traveler the day before. I don't know what to say.
I had a guy on
you
Twitter
could
tell
be
me he
a
didn't outbreak him. He was a length and a half in front of him when the gate opened.
Well, it was a bit of an optical illusion, but he could have cleared him. No, he could have
he
cleared him.
could have
I'm not.
right?
No, I'm not arguing that. But Manny rode with intention, and he didn't.
Agreed.
Manny knew exactly how to plan to do that, and I just felt like the other riders
I
didn't.
feel very, it's funny, because Manny struggled for a little bit for a while. Manny's really woken up.
His last 2 months, he's ridden sensational.
Sensational. And I
The
have
other
a lot
rider's
of
a very good rider. He just doesn't.
I'm one of the
pay
biggest
attention
Manny
to-
Franco fans there is.
No, I'm talking about Jose Lozcano.
Oh,
He's a
yeah,
great rider, but he
absolutely.
just doesn't pay attention to biases as much as he should. I mean, it's.
I have a lot of confidence that Manny will protect. If the track's the same, Manny will protect it.
I would think he would, but I'm just telling you the 3 could go.
Yeah,
and I'll tell you something
I know,
else.
I know.
If the 2 is sitting on the rail the whole way and the 3 is getting in the 1's way a little bit.
Yeah, maybe.
I do think the 1's get a horse, but Barisi's pretty darn good. 14 days or not. He's good, and he really ran very well in the Wood Memorial.
Okay.
By the way,
I agree.
He lost one of the craziest bobs for fourth. It happened, I was talking to Dave Grenig about it. He said to me, there a photo of the fourth finish? And Dave's, he's sicker than I am sometimes. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, this horse had to be fourth. And he couldn't see the replay. He was watching where they didn't have the slow-mo. And he was just watching, I think it was DRF, he would see him go. And if you watch this race, when they just go by the wire, it feels like he was like that much in front. But when you see the slow-mo, the other horse wins an unbelievable bob to get fourth from him. And it wasn't like the riders weren't riding. They both were riding until, the very late stage.
One of those low noses?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And I said to Dave, I
now.
can't believe it. He said, but if you watch the slow-mo, if you watch a Naira Betts, and if you want to watch, you guys could watch. It is one of the craziest bobs. Like if it turned into a big super and you needed him for fourth and you lost, it's probably one of the more annoying beats you've ever done. It was a crazy, crazy bob he lost. Anyway, so the Woodhaven. The Woodhaven.
Named for a town just a mile north of here, Andy.
I have a question though. How come there's no Howard Beach?
You know that? Yeah, you know that. Well, there's no Ozone Park. There's no South Ozone Park.
I mean, there should be something.
There's no Richmond
neighborhood,
Hill.
right?
We have a Central Park. We don't have an Ozone Park.
Yeah, we'll work on that.
We have this lobby for that.
We'll work on that. You're
will.
You're the low guy. So we'll look at unanimous consents last race. I'm sure the last half mile of his race. I don't know if there was some divot or there was something, but watch him as he's running behind horses here. It's going to happen sometime in the next 10 seconds or so. You're going to see him sort of bobble down and drop back about a length and a half or 2 lengths. So it's probably about right in here it's going to happen. Right there. And it didn't affect him that badly, but it kind of cost him his action. You got to realize something. The horse that finished second in this race, just look at Heaven Street, finished second with a very good trip and ride, but finished second Heaven Street and ahead of Fort Washington. So it wasn't like he was beating a field of bums. My problem is I think there's more interesting horse at a bigger price, but I also do think he's the horse to beat.
Yeah, I think he's the horse. I couldn't.
What's your record with the Klarovich, Chad Brown horses over the last 2 weeks?
I didn't want
to. 0 for 12?
I didn't want to go against this.
Keep you put the kiss of death on these horses?
I didn't want to go against
some
this.
a break?
I like this horse's first 2 races. You know what I was looking for there? It almost looked like he got hit with a divot, but he didn't. I was trying to find. I tried to find one. Yeah, and you know what it was almost like? It was almost like a harness horse when they break stride and he kind of backed up a little bit and then he gathered himself again and he came running again.
This race was really the scratches today were beyond ridiculous. So Dr. Jeff came out.
How much does that help Chanceau?
It does. The problem is the chance is not very good.
He's not very good. He's not right. I agree.
And doesn't Trevor have to go with Heaven Street? And at least be right, go to him and make sure you're letting him run.
He's nice.
Heaven Street's not slow.
Right, and Trevor has the luxury of having a horse that has some versatility. He's won from just off the pace. He's won on the front end. Yeah, I mean, when you have a horse like that, it's nice. So in instances like this where the other speed scratches or the main speed scratches, the second speed doesn't get away from you, and he can keep the pressure on Chanceau.
I originally was more positive about Fort Washington. Why do you like him? Let's hold off on the replay.
I don't know. I felt like he needed the race last time, and that sounds ridiculous running a horse in a stakes race. But I felt like he needed that race
Based
last
on what?
time.
He basically
He just ran like a horse that needed a race.
He did?
I thought he did.
Okay. Well, we'll agree to disagree. Heaven Street got a good trip, but Heaven Street was 2 to 3 wide around the track. We'll take a look at it. And it's not as though this race didn't, was totally forwarded here. I'm going to tell you something. Fort Washington, who I bet last time, what a ride he got by Javier. Because he goes from being in the back of the pack to being right there when Javier cuts the corner with this horse. And I thought Javier gave this horse just an absolute, you know what, I'm thinking of the wrong horse, actually, a different horse. This horse angled wide. He was 2 to 3 wide. He was the same as the winner. I have a different horse, actually. I'm sorry. I'm confused. I think he ran fine in here. I don't disagree. Honestly, I wonder how good that race was. That's my biggest problem with that race. I'm getting confused with the race. I'm not sure it was that good a race.
I don't disagree. I'd rather have him than Heaven Street out of the race.
Yeah, I probably would. I don't know. It's close. It's close. Yeah, I'd probably rather.
But yeah, you might be right.
You like that race more than I do.
I don't know how good the race
I like
was.
the Central Park. The horse won the Central Park, Side Dog. He might have gotten a good trip again to win down at Keeneland, but he beat a pretty good field at Keeneland.
He did.
And 0-2, whatever, the number horse.
0-2, 0-3-5.
But the horse that ran very well in that race was Meseta. And Meseta gets a very big eye rider upgrade, in my opinion, to Dylan Davis. Meseta was 3 wide on the first turn, 3.5 wide, broke a step slow, wide in the first turn, 2, 3, 4 wide in the second turn, out in the middle of the track, and just never stopped running. While the number horse was getting a very good trip, you know, and everything. I thought this horse ran really well in here. And I'm going to tell you something. If this horse is improved from this race, and with Dylan gets a better trip, he's a big, big player in this race, and he's going to be a very fair price. He doesn't have any of the sex appeal of the other horses in this race. He doesn't have the shug thing. He's not as stake-faced as they are. He just doesn't have the same. He's a New York bred. And I'm going to tell you something. If Meseta gets a decent trip and he can run back or improve on that race he ran, he can absolutely win this race and pay $15.
Yeah, he'll be a square price. That'll certainly
because,
be.
I mean, to be fair, who in this
He might
race...
be the longest shot on the board now. He really might be.
Who in this...
Because Chancel's going to take money because he looks like he's kind of loose.
Who in this race has ever run a particularly good race?
No, I don't disagree with that.
You know,
Nobody's scaring you away. Yeah.
Because it's Chad Brown, and I don't dislike him. But I'd rather bet the 7 at 2 or 3 times the price.
You'll get 2 or 3 times the price.
And I'm not sure unanimous consent kind of horse in this race. They may just latch on to him with the Chad factor and be 7-5 in here, and he may win. But I don't think he's going to be any kind of value in this race, and I don't believe he's supposed to be 2-1 or 8-5 in this race.
Okay.
You know, he may turn out when we look back in retrospect that he should have been a shorter price. But as of what he's shown so far, I'm just not sure he's supposed to be that big a favorite. We're going to be out of time. So race number 10. What did you do race number 10?
Race number 10. I went to Joshua.
Okay.
I went to Joshua. I feel like this horse was given 2 dirt races, tried to put some speed into him, sent him to the front both times, fell apart. The blinkers went on the second time, and now third start, he'll get around the, he'll get on the turf.
He's $1,000.
Cut him back. I know what he is.
Okay.
No, I don't have a story.
They ran him a 25 claimer.
I'm very well aware where they ran him.
The dam won on the turf. She produced 1 turf horse that did nothing at all. Okay. And Bo in the back? Oh, no, that's not. Okay, I have a question.
That's the 9.
What's the story with Cristata BC?
I don't have a story.
I mean, what's the story that you have him second? I mean,
I want the horses that are going to be forward, and they'll be forward. This is lining up 7, 8, 8, 7.
No, it isn't. The 6 is going to go. But that's okay. How do you not have this horse? He's got it in the top 4. This horse's turf race was. You think Sandrone's a player in that race earlier today, and you don't have this horse in the top 4 in this race?
I'm gonna give you the same
that you were wrong about yesterday. I mean, you left out horses that ran big races in the turf. That, both ran second.
Why is this horse in for the tag? His special weight races, you just said it. Sandrone has a chance earlier in the card in the allowance race, and this horse is in for the tag again.
He got beaten 4 lengths, Anthony. He didn't run great, but he ran well enough that he should.
He didn't have his Lasix. He didn't have blinkers.
He didn't.
You don't think this horse deserved a chance?
He ran for 40,000 last time.
Right.
And nobody claimed him. So why would he not? He's trying to win. What do you think?
I don't know. I feel like if you know the turf's coming.
You don't like him because he's running for 40? Seriously?
It's part of the reason I don't like him. Yeah.
But he ran for 40 last time.
Right.
What is he worth? He got a 58 buyer. If he improves, he's going to get a 66 buyer. What race is he going to win? He's not winning a maiden special weight. Mark Hennig's trying to run him in a spot where he has a chance to win. He's not a moron. Okay, we'll just have to completely disagree.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying he's going to win, but I don't know how you can possibly leave him out of your top 4.
Okay.
What about Martini Margarita?
What about her?
He's a new gelding, your angle. I don't know. The dam was a 1 on the turf. But the thing that's interesting about the dam of Martini Margarita to me is it was a big turf move up. This horse could not run at all in the dirt.
Yeah, she was 0 for 4
and
on the
this
turf.
is a first foal.
No, she was 0 for 1 on the dirt.
Getting a switch to Trevor McCarthy, I thought this horse was super interesting this race. And I don't know. I mean, tonalistic, I know it's a tonalist, but the second dam was a very good turf horse. There's legitimate turf pedigree there. What about Sharp Sensation there? I know they try to run long in the turf, but you don't want to use that horse at all?
How many spots are you going to pick? How many spots are you going to fill? You know?
What about the Sleepy Chipmunk? I know you're now picking all the Chad Summers horses.
I thought this horse this horse had a terrible start, and I thought this horse made up some ground late. I don't know.
But where's the turf pedigree?
Well, there isn't. The horse is going to be $1 million to 1. I want
Okay.
the prices in here.
Okay. Okay. Well, you and I are. You and I have different PPs for this race.
Okay.
Completely different PPs for this race.
What PPs?
I don't
There's
know.
no-
I have one where
there's-
nobody in their right mind would leave the 5 out of their
There's
top
one-
4.
the horse has one
And
turf race.
You're
There's one
using
turf
horses
race in the whole card.
without real pedigree.
PPs?
And
What kind of PPs do you need?
you need to take a look at the 5 and know the 5 has to be in your top 4, because I think when you leave a horse like that in your top 4, you're saying to people, I didn't really look at this horse. Because
I don't like the horse. Look at the horse. The horse was 35 to 1 and sucked up third. You can have him. Now he's in for 40. He's all yours. I looked at him. I look at all of them. He was 35 to 1.
I'm perplexed.
He ran a suck up third,
Okay,
and now he's in for 40.
I'm perplexed.
Okay.
He's not worth 40. That's why he's in for 40. Mark Hennig's not a moron. The connections aren't more. They know they can't win a maiden special. That's
Why didn't he
you
run
make
for 40
clears.
first time then?
Because they thought he might
He
be
would
better.
have probably won.
Because they thought he might be better. I mean, why?
He was 35
You
to
think
1.
it would have been smart to run him in a maiden claimer the first time?
He probably would have won with a 58.
You actually think? All right. We're going to go, because we're never going anywhere with this idiot.
No, we're not going to go anywhere with it.
But you can head over to Naira Bets, and we will match with $200 to your initial deposit and give you a free Derby bet. Use the promo code Derby25. Where are we going? I don't know, because Francisco's got his own
Out of
order.
order, just
In
random,
order
it's
now.
random.
Pick 6, $26,000 carryover, starts in race 5. Race, where are we going, Francisco?
Boom.
The bonus. You didn't get that slate for the cross country, did you? He's not speaking to me. You got it. You didn't put it in order, so you're trying to trick me here. There's the Keeneland Aqueduct Oak Lawn bonus. There it is. There it is. All those stakes and Anthony Menthons. You have a ticket up on
Yeah.
Naira Bets.
We're going to put it on the